Alright guys, a lot to talk about in this video, so let's get straight into it. So the Baron strength stacking Zombie Mancer used to be one of the best summoners in the game, and then around Blight League, after Blight League, it got absolutely destroyed into the ground because of one interaction with an offering. So instead of GGG just nerfing the offering into the ground, completely changing it, they just decided, you know what? This deserves to die. So they nerfed the Baron, they nerfed the gloves, and they nerfed the offering as well as the Ascendancy. So it's been kind of out of the scene for a while now. Some people still play it as a niche thing, but it's not very popular. So I thought I'd try it out and see if I can make something decent with it. And actually, I'm quite pleased with the results. So I'll get into the Baron real quick. So the Baron gives half of your strength is added to your minions, +1 max number of raised zombies per 500 strength, and with at least 1k strength, 1.5 to 2% of damage. Doubt is leached you as life. Doubt by your raised zombie, sorry, I should have said. So, yeah. So the core of the build is to build as much strength as possible to get more zombies, and then we will use the Shaper's Touch and the Joffreys to get more energy shield. So we stack a shitload of energy shield and a shitload of zombies, which, you know, results in good survivability and damage. So, taking a look over here, you can see I've got 2016 strength, so my strength at the moment is giving me 4 additional raised zombies. And then if you take a look, my resists are capped, so I'm CI, so I'm immune to chaos. I have 9,517 ES, so a massive pool. And my flasks, currently I don't have any. But if I were to use these, I would have 68% fizz reduction, 20% chance to dodge attacks, and with this badly rolled roomies, 20% chance to block attack damage if it was max rolled. So pretty good defensively, and obviously the huge ES pool helps a lot. So covering that, a lot of people on my last build guide asked me a lot about costs. So for this one, I decided to do something that most people don't do, I guess, and list my total cost of the build. I may have missed like 1 or 2 things, but pretty much this is accurate as can be. So coming in, my overall equipable gear is 89x, which is my flasks and my armor and stuff like that. My jewels at the moment come up to 51x. And I'll cover all this in the video, and my gems are coming up to 91x. So my overall investment for this exact build that I'm using right now is 232x. And then I thought that's maybe a bit much for some, so I've made a slightly medium budget option, which is totaling up to 54x, changing some things around. So it can be affordable. If you don't have like this much budget, I would recommend just trying out a life variant, but I haven't made a life variant for it, so I can't really tell you what to do for that. I probably could make one, but I'm not going to. So maybe in the future if enough people request it. So yeah, this is the type of budget that you're going to be looking for to make this work at all. Now my current variant has obviously 9.5k ES. It also has around 30 million DPS because each zombie deals loads of damage, basically, just loads of damage. So I'll get straight in by starting with the gear. So with my gear, now there's a lot of staple uniques in this, so you may struggle to get resistances, so just bear that in mind. So I'll start with the helmet. So we want a Baron with raised zombie deal 40% increased damage, or you can go for the attack speed one, but my POE says this is more damage, so I'm using this. So yeah, this is about 40-50C, so you should be fine there. Our armor is a staple as well, which is a Joffrey Sanctuary. Now these are very cheap because nobody uses these at all. A 6-linked one will be about 80 to 150C. I got this one with +2 AoEs because there just so happened to be one other guy that was trying out a Guardian variant of this, who is now on my friends list. So very cool. He also gave me some jewels for free. So yeah, big thank you to that. So yeah, Joffrey Sanctuary over here, very cheap. It gives you the Ellie Res, it gives you +2 max energy shield per 5 strength, as well as ES and life, but the life doesn't matter too much. So this is a very good armor, because when we're stacking all the strength, you know, we're getting absolutely tons of ES. And it also gives us Zealot's Oath, which is this over here. So life regen is applied to energy shield instead, so we don't need to spend a point to get that. So that's very cool. Next unique that we have is the Shaper's Touch Crusader Gloves with vulnerability enchant. So we will be hitting with this build, and I'll show you why in a bit. So vulnerability on these is very nice. They're also very cheap, and yeah, with the strength, it's given us 4 strength gives us 1 mana, and 10 strength giving us 1% ES. So this also adds up quite a lot, and the mana also does help as well. So yeah, these are about 40C with the vulnerability enchant as well. So pretty decent price there. Getting into the more expensive gear now. So my amulet, I'm using the Eyes of the Great Wolf Talisman, with increased attributes and global defenses. Now there aren't many of these, and they're very expensive, so don't worry about getting this amulet if you don't want to like spend a shitload, you can get an Ascendancy with max rolls, and the difference isn't too much, to be honest. Or you can get a crafted talisman with increased attributes and increased strength, and then maybe hopefully get a bit of strength on there and ES. But you know, very hard to combine as well. But the increased attributes and strength should be well enough. And preferably with like an amber amulet base or something that gives strength and dex, because you might struggle to hit the dex and the int on this build without the Ascendancy. So moving on to my weapon now, Imperial Maul, which is the two-handed mace, which has the implicit 10% increased strength, which is pretty much the go-to mace for this build for the 10 strength. And you want to get this with +1 socketed gems, minions deal increased damage, and then multi-mod it so you have the socketed support gems and also the attacking cast speed. And then hopefully you also have an open suffix to craft Aspect of the Avian. Now these are very cheap as well, because not many people are playing this build at the moment. So I managed to get this one for about 9.5x, so they should be around that anyway. And also, if you want to craft them, you just basically spam them with the minion essence, which is the Essence of Fear, until you get +1 gems, and then, you know, pretty much self-explanatory from there. So yeah, that's the weapon we're using. For the belt, also very cheap option actually, a synthesized increased strength belt. If you can get one with increased energy shield on it as well, that would be great, but I couldn't find one of those. So yeah, this one, 18% increased strength, and then you just throw an essence of rage on it, a deafening essence of rage, and that is better than tier 1 strength. So yeah, they're pretty easy to make, very cheap. The base is about 1x, so very simple stuff there. You could also get an Elder one, I guess, with double strength increased attributes, but that'll be very hard, and it'll probably just be more expensive than this. So yeah, you can also, I haven't done it for this one particular, but you could like get Ashling with the strength, and then try and get a double Ashling on the suffixes, and you can get strength and in and strength and dex on that, and that would be a pretty GG belt. But obviously that's very hard and very expensive to do as well, so I haven't bothered for this video. But if I was absolutely min-maxing, I would definitely do that. Moving on to the boots. So the boots, I have chance to dodge attack hits and also elevated increased strength. I made these myself, cost me about 7x to do it. Probably no one's going to be selling these, so you probably have to make them yourself. But alternatively, you can use an Alberon's Warpath, and Alberon's Warpath will give you 18% increased strength as well. I just wanted these for the ES that they give, as well as the chance to dodge attack hits, just for a bit more defense. So yeah, Alberon's Warpath 2C if you want them on the budget, or you can make a pair like these if you really want to. Moving on to the last thing, which is the rings. Now the rings are very expensive as well, because you will need Ashling for these if you want to get the exact ones that I have. So unset rings with tier 1 strength, or you know, essence strength or whatever, and then you Ashling on strength and dex, or strength and in, and you also need a bit of resist on these as well, because you do struggle with resist with this build now. So I'm just barely capped, as you can see. I'm literally on 75 for lightning, and just barely over 83 over here. So yeah, you will definitely struggle to get resist, so just keep that in mind while you're gearing up. So the other ring is pretty much exactly the same. I just have +1 level of socketed gems on here as well, a bit of lightning res, and I've crafted on ES. I've crafted on ES on this as well. So yeah, for the flasks, moving on to the flasks now. So we need preferably a Bottled Faith if you can get one, because it will significantly increase the damage that your zombies deal. With high crit chance roll, and also the Constant Ground created during effect applies 10% increased damage. Mine's only 8, but it's fine for me. I do loads of damage anyway, so but if you can get 10%, that'd be absolutely perfect. Now I'm rolling with a Basalt Flask for fizz damage reduction, and then also a Remus for chance to block, and the 3k armor is also decent. A Quartz Flask for additional chance to dodge attack and spell hits with immune to curses, and then just a Quicksilver for, you know, Quicksilver things. So yeah, I've also got an Eternal Mana Flask here, because if your minions die, you're going to want some mana regen to resummon them, because the zombies cost 198 mana to resummon. If they happen to die, mine barely die. I maybe lost one to like some really juicy fight. But that's about it. But your Spectres may die quite a bit, because they're not the tankiest in the world, because we haven't taken too many nodes on the tree, which I will cover in a moment. So yeah. Okay guys, so the build is CI. However, when you start this build, you need to level it as a life build. Also, yes, it is league start viable. So instead of coming over to this right side of the tree, you would just stick to the left here. You would still take Lord of the Dead. You wouldn't take this. You could take this for life while you're leveling up. You still come up here, but you take Death Attunement manually. And then instead of going around this way, you will come down here. You will pick up Sacrifice and Spiritual Command. Keep coming down, take Discipline and Training. Come down here, take Grave Pact, easy peasy. Then you can go around up to here, take Devotion, take these nodes here, or you could, you know, go this way like that. That's fine. You still want to take up my Strength, which is this node down here, because you are still a Strength stacker, so it's absolutely fine. And then switch to this later on, around level 90, 92, something like that. So as the tree as it stands right now, I'm using 4 jewels here, all of the same jewels, all efficient trainings. 1 with Corrupted Blood and 3 with Reduced Reservation of Skills. So these are quite cheap compared to other ones. So I bought this one for 30C, and I bought these ones for 2.5x each. You will need at least 2 of these for the build if you use my exact version, because you will struggle with mana and you will not be able to use your Flame Dash if you don't have 2 of them. So just keep that in mind while doing that. Of course, you might switch your auras around and you might have less mana reserve than I do anyway, so you might be okay. Yeah, this is the setup I have. And you can't really replace these with anything else, because if I take this one out here, you'll see it gives me over 120 strength. It's just too much. This one, like, almost 100 strength. And these ones over here give similar. So, yeah. Coming over to this side of the tree, we're going to be taking CI, very obviously. We're also going to be picking up Influence over here to increase the effect of our non-curse auras. So Pride, Dread Banner, Discipline, stuff like that. It's all great. And then also taking Ghost Reaver, which does work with the Baron, by the way. I've tried and tested it. So yeah, that works for the Baron, fine. So coming down over to the left side now, you're going to take the Practical Application instead of that, because we don't need this, and this gives us 25 strength and dex, which is quite nice. Coming up to here, just take this Cluster Jewel node for an efficient training. You want to come down here and pick up the Sovereignty, as well as the Reduced Res nodes on the left of it. So, yeah, more mana res, it's all good. Still taking Righteous Army and Redemption, because we do have a Lethal Pride here as well. So, when you roll your Lethal Pride, you're going to want increased strength, at least 5%. I have 10 on this one, so I have 5 over here and 5 over here. If I didn't have the 5 here, I wouldn't take this. Because it gives 20 strength, so maybe, but it also gives effective non-cursor. So yeah, I might take it. Actually, I changed my mind. But I'm taking this one as well because it gives 5 res, ES, and all LE res. Again, if you don't need the LE res and stuff, you don't have to take this either. Coming down, going to my first Cluster Jewel on the left over here, we have a minion deal 10% increased damage, 8 passive, Renewal, Rotten Claws, and Vicious Bite. This will be your most expensive Cluster Jewel out of all of them. Because these are about 10x. If you want it with the strength, it's going to cost you about 15x. That's what I paid. So we just take those. And then in the passives, we have the this up here, which is a small cluster, 25% increased effect, 14 strength, 20 max ES. So this is pretty much the best small cluster you can get for this build. This is, if that was 35% increased effect and add all the attributes on it, that would be pretty much GG for this build. And I will show you just how powerful this jewel is right now. So 9,517 ES. I take this out. Wait, let's have a look at my strength as well. 2016. I take this out. 1,921 strength and 8,396. So you can see the difference this jewel makes for 3 passive points. It's so worth it. And I'm currently level 92 on this build, as you may have saw. So if I was a bit higher level, I would drop this one over here, which is a strength in, and max ES. And I would try and get another one of these. They're very rare. I only paid 2x for this one because it's very niche, and there isn't really a build that uses it. Aside from, well, this that I can think of. So I got this for 2x, very cheap, but I would pay 8x upwards for this easily. Coming over here, I just have a staple max ES, LE res, fire and cold res jewel over here. You will need resistances probably, so that's where I've stuck them on this thing. Coming down still, we're taking up most strength, and over here we have a Voices, only a 5 passive, no need to worry too much. They're very cheap now, 3.5x, something like that, so won't worry too much about it. Got another small cluster over here, not as good as the one up here, but still decent. This one gives me about 700 ES, as well as all LE res, bit of int in there as well. So I'm taking energy from Naught, which gives 100 to max ES, so it's very nice bonus. And then in the other 2 sockets down here are my medium clusters. We only need 2 of these, Master of Command and Precise Commander. So you probably know what they do already, but Master of Command, 50% reduced res of banner skills, and 15% increased effect of non-curse auras from skills on enemies, so pretty decent there. and Precise Commander with Crit Chance and Crit Multi. So we're using 2 of those. Our Dread Banner will cost 0 mana in the end, so pretty nice. I've accidentally scrolled down, sorry. And then inside of these, we have Split Personality, and you know, a lot of people see Split Personality and they're like, oh, great. But these ones are cheap, 5 Strength, 5 ES, 52 Strength, and 52 Max ES from this one. Cost me about 20, 30 C, something like that. And then another one as well, this one over here gives 55 Strength and ES, so very, very good to have. Big boost over there. If I take that out, you know, 8,872 ES, and, you know, just over 102 Strength on that one. Well, exactly 102 Strength, I should say. So, my last jewel is a Watcher's Eye with Clarity, 10% max mana as max ES, and Discipline, regen, 2% per second. So this one cost me 20x because it's a dual Clarity Discipline, but you can just get a Clarity one for extra ES, and that should be fine. Another good mod you could have would be the Energy Shield on hit with Discipline and Clarity, but that would be very expensive as well, because, and I will cover it soon, we are using Cyclone in the build. So that just about covers the actual skill tree. Jumping into the Ascendancies, it's pretty standard stuff. You know, these don't really change that much, whether you just take a Mistress to sacrifice or not is basically the difference with most summoners. So, Commander of Darkness over here, staple stuff, 30 yellow res, 30 damage, 30 increased attack and cast speed for allies, so very, very strong. Mindless Aggression, which is okay, but mostly just a gateway to these two. So we get the Bone Barrier for the additional fizz damage reduction, monster life, and, you know, recovery rate of life and ES, which is cool. And then Unnatural Strength +2 to level of all minion skill gems, which is very, very important. So yeah, that just about covers the passive tree now. I'll be moving on to the gems and whatnot in a moment. Okay guys, rolling with the gem setup now. We are a summoner, so we are using a ton of gems, and they are quite pricey for the ones that I have right now. So I'll jump right in. So with our weapon, this is where our zombie will go, because +1 socketed gems, +2 socketed support gems. So starting down here, we have an Empower level 4. You need a level 4. The weapon gives it +3, which will then give it +6 to level of supported active skill gems. So, you know, active is a skill that can be activated. So this, in our case, is the Ray Zombie. So our Ray Zombie is 21 on its own anyway. So then +6 gives it 27. Then +1 from the weapon gives it 28. And then the Ascendancy gives it +2 to level 30. Now at level 30 you get an additional zombie, so it's very, very important that you have this level 4 empower in here. Moving on from that, we have Awakened Brutality. Again, getting +3 levels from the item, so very, very big here. Pretty good. More damage, more fizz damage. Our zombies are pure fizz, so this is very big. The Raised Zombie, as I covered, 21-23 ideally if you can get it. 21-20 is fine as well. Impale support, level 21-20 quality. You know, just standard stuff for Fizz, isn't it? Impale. Moving on up here, Awaken Melee Fizz. So, again, just very, very good. The Awaken Melee Fizz also gives Intimidate, well, a chance to Intimidate, so it's very, very strong as well. And then lastly, the Big Daddy Gem. Nobody likes buying it, but it is so strong, so strong. So it's worth the price if you can afford this. It's Awaken Multi-Strike support. So, yeah. If you can't afford the Awaken Multi-Strike, I get how expensive it is, so you can just roll with a normal multi-strike if you really have to. But I would highly recommend getting the Awaken multi-strike if you can afford it, because it just adds so much damage, guys. So moving on from the zombie setup now, pretty simple stuff. In the helmet we have the Ray Spectre and the Animate Guardian. So Ray Spectre 21-20, getting +2 levels from the Baron itself, as well as the Ascendancy, so level 25 Ray Spectre. With Death Attunement you'll be able to raise 4 total Spectres, and I'll go over what Spectres at the end of the video. I'll put a little timestamp for it. So yeah, level 25 here, and then we have Divergent Animate Guardian here as well. Divergent gives it way more life, as you can see, 46% increased maximum life, which is perfect, because essentially you just don't want your Animate Guardian to die. And then Minion Life Support. Now, to be honest, you probably should use Meat Shield support for this, because Meat Shield support makes your minions defensive, which means they won't run off and just try and kill stuff off screen. So it's more likely that your Animate Guardian will not die. But just for the sake of this, I'm just using Minion Life Support. Mine hasn't died, but it has. It can come close to dying sometimes, so I would probably switch this for Meat Shield support if you have it. Then lastly, I have Life Tap. So Life Tap lets these guys use their skills for life instead of mana as well. So very, very cool there. And that's just about it for the helmet. Moving on to the chest. Now, there's a lot of ways you can go about the chest. So I have my auras in here, and you can play with this however you see fit. This is just the setup that I'm using. So I'm using Divergent Precision, level 20, as well as Divergent Pride, level 21. This is very expensive. It's cost me 9x. So if I was you, I would just buy the normal Pride if you can't afford that. Divergent Precision is only about 40c, so I won't worry about too much. Dread Banner, make sure you get 21, 23 Dread Banner. It's about 2.5x, but it's so good. The ult quality on Dread Banner gives increased effective aura. Not the AoE effect, but the actual aura itself has increased effect, so it's very, very strong. And then over here, I have Generosity Awakened, level 6, which also gives +1 level of supported aura skill gems, and supported skills have 40% increased aura area of effect. The Generosity itself gives non-curse auras from support skills have 51% increased effect, but it does not apply to auras that don't affect allies. So this does not affect the Pride at all. I just have the Pride in here because it's just the only place that I could really slot in efficiently. So just bear that in mind. So the Pride is not buffed, but it still works. Dread Banner gets the +1, and it also gets a huge aura effect, and the aura effect increases the impale chance and also the impale effect, so it stacks the damage up quite a lot. And there is actually a build that I've tried with this, just purely stacking Dread Banner aura effect, and it does over 400 million DPS with raised zombies, so bear that in mind. And I could show you that build if you really want to see it. But the problem with that build is it is an absolute glass cannon. It dies a lot, but the damage on it is pretty unmatched. I actually killed the Maven faster with that build than I did with my Hate Forge. So yeah, that is a very strong variant if you were to stack that. So I've done it with this as well, but a bit of, to a lesser extent. And then we have Enlightened 4 in here as well to make these cost less. And then I do have Convocation in here, and that's just because I like Convocation. But if you don't give a shit about Convocation, replace this and put Divergent Vitality in here, because it's very powerful. So yeah, that's just a little tip that you could do there. Moving on to my gloves. Over here, I have Maim with a Anomalous Summon Carrion Golem, because I can't run Flesh and Stone, so I can't really Maim. So I've got Maim on the Golem, as well as Feed and Frenzy on the Golem. And then I've got my Clarity in here for the Watcher's Eye. Divergent as well, 5% increased damage while on full mana for me and nearby allies. Then lastly, my setup in the boots is my Divergent Cyclone, my Desecrate, Awaken Cast Wall Channeling, and Divergent Flesh Offering. So when we spin like this, we're just going to pop the Flesh Offering non-stop over and over, buffing the zombies up. And the Divergent gives increased attack speed on Flesh Offering, so it's very powerful, as well as, you know, the overwhelming effects anyway. 30% increase move speed, 31% increase cast speed. It's pretty much always up, so it's really good. Yeah, if you didn't care so much about the aura setup, you could switch that into here and put like Fortify and stuff on it, but we do have Fortify from the Animate Guardian as well. So that about covers the gem skill setup as far as this goes. So I'm going to talk about the Spectres in a sec. I'm just going to go get a drink because my throat is very dry from all of this talking. So 1 second. Okay guys, so moving on to the Animate Guardian and the Spectres. So the Animate Guardian can come across as a bit squishy in this build because we don't take many life nodes on the tree for the minion. So I'm using Garba the Ephemeral right now. Well, that's for the action speed. But you can take Gruffkull's Pelt, which gives a lot of life and also a lot of life regen, so that would also make him a little bit tankier if you would prefer to go for that route, so maybe he has less chance of dying. For the helmet, take a Elder Helmet with nearby enemies take increased fizz damage, Chaos Res, and life if you can get one. Your guy will need Chaos Resistance or he probably will die, so just bear that in mind. So moving on to the boots, what I'm using in particular is Victario's Flight. This is increased move speed for me and my allies. There are alternate options you could take. You could just take some rare boots with Chaos Res and Max Life as well to make them a little bit tankier. But I've gone with Victorio's here. For the gloves, I'm using just some rare gloves with Chaos Res and Max Life again. Just try to make him tanky so he doesn't die. And that's pretty much all you really need for those things. So for the weapon, we're going with a Kingmaker, which is, you know, the best choice for the Animate Guardian because it gives Fortify, it gives Culling Strike, it gives Crit Multi, and it also gives Rarity if you're into that. So it's a pretty strong bonus. With those things, you should be fine. Mine hasn't died yet, so, you know, I'm feeling good. For the Spectres, we're going to be taking the Host Chieftain and the Carnage Chieftain. So the Host and the Carnage are found here in the Ashen Fields. In Act 7, you just want to come here, throw your Desecrate on the floor, raise them up, and you're good to go. There is a third Spectre you can use, which I'm not using at the moment because he died, rip. But if you go into a map and you get Drox influence, Drox can summon minions, which are fairly common, called the Arena Masters, and they've got like a shield and a sword. And basically they're super good because they do this little thing where they bang on their shield 3 times, and they give all of your minions 40% increased attack speed. So 3 of these Spectres, so I go with 2 Carnage Chieftains, 1 Host, and 1 Arena Master if he didn't die. And that would be pretty good for the Spectre setup. Or just go with 2 Host, 2 Carnage if you can't get the Arena Master. But yeah, you get him from Drox in a map. Just make sure you've got Desecrate him when you collect him. And then you can Desecrate him in your hideout so you can get him if he ever dies again. I only equip my Desecrate, so yeah. That about covers the Spectres and the Animate Guardian now. Okay guys, so very lastly, just the Pantheons and the Bandits. You can really just use whatever you like for the Pantheons. I'm going with Brian King and Abarath. You can also use Lunaris, Solaris. It doesn't really matter. Just remember, if you use these keys, switch between them when you're doing bosses or mapping. But yeah, it doesn't matter too much. For the passives, for the Bandits, I've gone with the passives because we are a summoner, and summoner always needs passive points. So pretty straightforward there. Yeah, that just about covers it, guys. If you have any questions, anything I missed, feel free to comment, and I will try and reply to your comment as soon as possible. As long as YouTube notifies me, it should be pretty quick. Sometimes it doesn't, so it may take a bit longer. And if you have any feedback, any improvements for the build as well, just put them in the comment section, let me know. And yeah, it's greatly appreciated, guys. So I will see you next time, guys. Good luck, take care, and goodbye.